do a little road mapping. So what we're going to do is really spend some time talking about the national data. Really want to think about the value, although we've heard a lot about the value of educators of color already. Think about and discuss some of the retention research we've been talking about, and also think about what we can do. So what can we do in the district level around policy? What kind of levers can we think about? And just kind of highlight some of those issues. So here's what we've been seeing. Across the country, we've been seeing this narrative around diversity matters. This shift of thinking about teacher diversity as a critical component of how we educate children of color and all children, right? We know that if there's a problem around diversity across the nation, we know that it's critical. What we know about teacher diversity is there are far too few Black teachers. Only 7% of our nation's country are African American, only about 8% are Latino in the country, right? We know that only 2% of our Black educators are male, and in some places the numbers just dwindle across the board. In Maryland, what we know is in slightly a different context. So in Maryland, we know that when we look at our teacher population, it is over 74% white. 17% are Black, and a little over 8% are other. We've collapsed because of Maryland data availability, Latinx into other for the purpose of the conversation today. When we think about Maryland student demographics, we see a good number. The colors are kind of hard to see here, but 84% are Black. Now let's think about Baltimore, right? You all are in a particular context that is slightly different from the rest of Maryland and the rest of the nation, quite frankly. In Baltimore, you have over 40% of your educators that are African American, right? You have 80% of your students that are African American. You have almost, not quite, there's a long way to go, what we might think of an almost racially congruent context. And so some of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be situated in that both on the panel and as we talk about our conversation nationally. What we also know is that as I think about teacher diversity along the pipeline, we know that the numbers, we know that historically, teacher diversity has been an issue, right? I won't go all the way back to Brown because we'll be here a really long time. But if we want to go back to Brown versus Board of Education, what we know is that integration also eradicated our Black teaching workforce. So while I'm going to talk about present day issues in teacher diversity, let's be clear that history tells us that there are issues with teacher diversity from many years ago, even though the context right now is going to be talked about for today, in the current day. We know that we see an issue with retention all the way from our pre-K to 12 states. We know that we have issues with post-secondary enrollment in specific education programs, graduation from those programs, entering the workforce, and then teacher retention. So across the board, there's a pipeline issue for everybody. I'm going to hone in on what we hear less conversation about, which is teacher retention. Oftentimes we hear recruit, but we never hear about how to retain educators. Particularly in a context like Baltimore City public schools, we need to think about retention because you actually have pretty strong numbers when you look across the nation, when you look across the state of Maryland. But when we think about retention, that's when we start getting to this really critical issue. And here's why. What this slide is telling us, all these pretty numbers, is that since the 80s, we've been recruiting high numbers of African American and Latino teachers into the workforce. The problem actually isn't the recruitment. The research tells us that the problem is the retention. You get people in, right, and then they leave. So if we keep getting people in and we don't fix the pipeline for when they leave, then we're still going to have a challenge. Now this is a challenge we're going to face many years to address, right? It will take a long time. But what we do know is that we're not going to fix it if we keep recruiting at high numbers and we don't ever retain any of the educators that we have out there. The research also tells us that universally there are a ton of issues impacting teacher retention and turnover. These are the ones you hear, regardless of race, culture, creed, color. We hear about school conditions, we hear about school leadership, the lack of autonomy and compensation. What's interesting, however, is that when we think about Black and Latino educators, what we start hearing more about is the first, school conditions, working conditions, become the number one issue for Black and Latino educators. The other issue is the lack of autonomy. So as we start doing our work, as Dr. Santos has mentioned, we started thinking about why would Black teachers really start talking about working conditions? Why would autonomy be the issue? What There's folks out of Emory who do the work. Travis Bristol is at Berkeley. He does the work. Michelle Foster is a great wealth of knowledge. Lisa Delpit, like all of these amazing educators have done work around teacher diversity. But there was one critical component missing, the scope and size, right? So oftentimes when we pick up an article, or I send you an article, and we talk about something, there are about 20 teachers in that room. 20 teachers maybe in Boston, or 20 teachers maybe in California. Well, at EdTrust, we had the capacity and desire and will to figure out how to expand that conversation across the nation. We really wanted to hit what I always call saturation. We wanted to hear if everybody felt the same way. What I want to say before I get to the findings is that people often ask us, are these teachers in spaces where they're the only black teacher in a white space? The answer to that is no. So in our research, we went to Memphis. Looks a whole lot like Baltimore. In our research, we went to Tuscaloosa. Looks a whole lot like Baltimore, right? So let's be clear that these findings, even though they sound very racialized, are actually in spaces that look very much racially congruent. And that's something we don't talk a lot about in our national conversation for a whole host of reasons. And I'll get to a little bit of that too when we talk about some of our policy levels. So here's what we heard. Dr. Samuels has talked a lot about connecting with black students, like this ability to connect with students who look like you, maybe have common experiences. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of duality in that it's a blessing and a curse. So the blessing is the connection, right? You drop the trust barrier, you get to connect with students. The curse is that sometimes students take that too far, or sometimes there's an assumption that we connect. Let me be clear about myself. I can connect with people because we have a similar background in terms of what we look like. I am not from a low-income background. I have not experienced the trauma of having someone be shot in front of me. I need to come to grips with that as I connect with students who look like me. And we also have to have a common understanding of how we experience things in this world. So that was something they talked about. We also heard supporting the whole student. Again, this notion of being, I call it a warm demander, like supporting both their academic, social, and emotional side across the board. Oftentimes being an auntie or a cousin, that relational connection happening and showing up again. Again, that oftentimes being a blessing and a curse, pushing an additional tax on teachers, a burden on teachers. And we found this across the country. Enforcing versus educating, I'm sure all of you have heard a great deal about. This notion of being a disciplinarian versus being a strong classroom manager. We heard that throughout, in that pigeonholing black teachers into a space where they didn't have the autonomy or the professional development opportunities because they were seen as being enforcers. They weren't seen as providing great classroom management or providing great learning opportunities and instruction. They were often being seen as just an enforcer in buildings. The last two are the two that I think are really interesting and really powerful in terms of our school climates and cultures in the country, which is around proving your worth and being other to be valued. So this good conversation that parents, administrators, no, I didn't just say other teachers, parents, administrators, and students oftentimes saw black teachers as being less than and having to prove that they knew who they were and what they saw, right? So we hear all these conversations and narratives about, I had to tell somebody I had 3 master's degrees to prove that I was able to teach an AP course. I had to prove that I could go across town to teach at the all-white school. So let me be clear that within districts, so I don't have these slides, data slides, within districts, what we know is that even if you were, let's say you were 20% black teachers, oftentimes you're all in one set of schools. So we have segregation within school districts. So we often hear this proving worth, I have to prove myself to go teach at the school that may be better resourced because there are more white students and they're more economically resourced. And I have to prove my worth to be able to go there. And even then, I may not be able to go to that school to teach. And so that comes up. This othering and devaluing, again, we hear another sentiment around I'm being othered. I don't have a voice in staff meetings. I don't have a voice to voice my opinion about what's happening in spaces. I don't have a voice. I don't have a seat at the table. And so that comes up a great deal in our conversation. Some recent research has come out around some of the things we're talking about that do a really good job of encapsulating what we think this is. We think it's around microaggressions, alienation, the low expectations for teaching capacity, and sheer isolation. And so oftentimes when people read these, they naturally think this is a white-black issue. And it is sometimes. But there's also an issue happening in from leaders who look like you and leaders who do not. That being said, that's really important here in Baltimore, where you have 72%, I believe, or 75% of your leadership that are actually Black. So if you have a working group coming together around retention, we really need to think about what's happening with leadership and how we're building them, too, around some of these issues around race and microaggressions and alienation. What can we do? Short and sweet, guys. So this is actually a principal in Philadelphia. His name is Sharif Ahmedi. The reason I put his face in his lovely school up here is because Sharif is the co-founder of the Black Male Educators for Social Justice. I want to highlight their work because in their work they've created a movement in Philadelphia and really across the country to start changing how we think about not only policy and advocacy, but probably most importantly on pedagogy, content, and self-care, right? He really thinks about how he does these things in and throughout this building to think about humanity and retaining educators of color. Here are some other things we know we can do when we found folks doing at the district level. So we talk about these things like policy stuff, right? We think about the public reporting data. Let me say it this way. You need to know what's happening to be able to have a question or concern about what's happening. So the fact that your district leaders have come up here and told you there's a challenge, there's a problem, here's the data, here's what it looks like. We want more people to have that conversation nationally. We push nationally to have that conversation. We want people to be able to ask questions about retention. What does it look like from year to year for particular groups of students and teachers? We really want to think about this funding for development. So oftentimes what we see around the country is we see really strong groups of teachers coming together and actually nobody from the district supporting initiatives like this or initiatives in the district to have a 1-hour workshop for professional development for teachers of color specifically or others in the building. We really want to think about school climate data. Some states are mandating that, but we actually think that these issues with teachers around racial discrimination, racial stereotyping, pigeonholing are broader issues of school culture and climate. Dr. S knew that when I started this work, it started off with this conversation of we can figure out what's happening to teachers and what they're experiencing. We will have a sense to some degree of what Black children experience in schools. Not completely, but it will help us get a sense of how to move that forward. In some places, it's more powerful than others. So in a place like Buffalo, we have the one Black male in the whole building, staff, and custodial staff, and teachers, and leaders. It becomes way more powerful than in some other places. But we think that school climate data is a way to get there. The other things we think about are like, can we think about some diversity data? Is there a dashboard we can have created? Are there groups like us that can help create those kinds of things and think about how we talk about diversity in meaningful and powerful ways? Microaggression working groups we've seen happen in places like Cambridge, Massachusetts, where they're building literally some working groups around microaggressions that they look like how to deal with them. And this bottom bucket is probably one of my favorites. There's work by Misha Mosley. Misha Mosley runs an organization called the Black Teacher Project. And what she does is she builds professional development for teachers around notions of race and racism and awareness. Not just culturally relevant pedagogy, not just implicit bias training, but really around certain things. So I really have to look at this. Sorry guys, I have cheat sheets in front of me. It focuses on racial literacy, really to think about how you identify forms. I'm going to use even broader than racism. I'm going to say discrimination, because I don't think we can all commit racism. Encountering and coping with racial literacy. There are some things in her professional development model that also examine things like career development and who has access to career development and spaces to learn and grow. And so she talks about how the racialization of spaces can limit career development and uses professional development to really talk about that. She also builds this notion of awareness. So how are these things that create spaces in professional development to think about being aware that these things are happening? So even that you have a Black teacher or a teacher of color retention working group to build awareness that things are happening, we don't know what we don't know. Like if you have a group at the water cooler that talks about challenges, we actually don't know how to handle those unless someone comes and builds awareness around those issues in a creative and thoughtful way. With this, I'm also going to say push a little bit in that as we have conversations, this movement is so powerful because it comes from teachers. Like I can sit here and give you a national conversation all day about teachers of color, about Black teachers and what they need. But this movement in particular, in our policy and advocacy space, is primed for ground-up movement in a way that I don't think a lot of our work is. And I think that this is a space to really think creatively and be able to capture your thoughts, not as complaints, but a strategic movement forward. So I really push you to think about some of these things and other things, and that if you have some challenges, to get with folks and start thinking about, like, what are some strategic things we can move forward so the complaint can become real key action? Because we are building networks. If you are on Twitter, there are folks who are tweeting about these networks in a really powerful way. We're building solutions, but really from the ground up. So I'm going to stop there. Just want to do a quick 10 minutes. My Twitter handle is on here. I tweet a lot about teacher diversity. My research associate is on here. He also tweets a ton. We do Twitter chats every Tuesday. So if you're looking for strategies or thoughtfulness around this, you can't get me directly, please speak and talk to us online about these issues and how critical and how helpful you can be in moving them forward.
It would be really great if you could share a little bit about just who you are, I think, and what brought you to teaching, and then we'll dive right into some of our questions.
Okay, so my name is Kier. Currently I teach 6th grade literacy and language arts at Waverly Elementary. This is my 6th year teaching, and I'm originally from Des Moines, Iowa. I found my way into teaching by an alternative certification program, so I came through Urban Teachers. I was cohort 2012, and I've really enjoyed my time teaching. I really like to think that my time in Baltimore with the students and their families and communities, they've made a far greater impact than I'm probably making in the classroom. I'm really indebted to the city itself and the students, and it's been a transformative experience. I thought I was going to go to law school and ultimately didn't. Sometimes he has other plans for us, and I'm really fortunate that I followed the plans that brought me into teaching as opposed to law school. It's really nice to be here with everybody in every sense of the word here, the panel, as well as Baltimore City. So I appreciate all of you here tonight, and thank you to the panel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Hall. I'm currently an English teacher at Carver Vocational Technical High School, home of the Bears. Sorry, I love my school. And I have been teaching for 16 years, all in Baltimore City Public School. I am proud of that, because I am not from Baltimore. I'm from North Carolina. You probably hear a little bit of that right now. But I am glad to have come here. I believe that the experiences that I've had here, I was supposed to have, good and bad. And I too thought that I was going to law school. I actually had to make a choice. Right out of undergraduate school in North Carolina, I went to Elizabeth City State University, and right at my last year of college, I was given an opportunity to be a part of a program called Project Site Support at Morgan State University, where they offered me my master's degree in exchange for 5 years of teaching in Baltimore City schools. So I also was offered an opportunity to go to school at Regent University in Virginia to pursue law. So that was really tough because I felt like, do you follow your dream or do you go on this path and I'm just going to be honest, you get something free with a job. That's what I was being offered. And so I took this opportunity, and I won't say that it was easy, but I will say that it was worth it. And I believe in the students that I serve, that I teach. I believe that we have a lot of similarities in our backgrounds, even though I didn't grow up in a city or an urban neighborhood. I know the hardships. We all have hardships in our homes. It doesn't matter what the outside of the home looks like. Our hearts beat the same. And so I think it's important that when we enter a classroom that we understand that we're not teaching just color. We're teaching humans. We're teaching young people who are going to turn into us. And I'm thankful to be a part of the panel tonight as well. Thank you.
Glad to have you both. Thank you very much. I actually think I'll switch around a little bit and pull on a thread that you kind of mentioned there, and I'd ask that you just all weigh in. When you talk about, we're all human, our hearts beat the same, there are a lot of teachers that are not of color who would say, right, so why the focus on black teachers? I can do that in the same way that you do. What would your response be to a concern that you don't need to be black to serve your black students in that way?
I don't mind starting because y'all looking at each other, so praise the Lord. Here we go. Our students have experienced a lot in media. They've seen a lot in their communities. The people that they've grown up with, the people that they've encountered look like them. And so to go into a setting where you're spending most of your day, every weekday, and you have to respond positively to someone, sometimes they need someone to relate to. I currently teach students who have had a lot of loss, and not just in death, but in people just walking out of their lives that look like them. I feel that we, people that look like them, should walk into their lives and show them that you have an army of people who look like you, who are standing behind you, who are professional, who are successful, who can serve you, and who you also can be like or emulate if you choose to. I also believe in building in our village before we send ours outside of the village. And so a lot of times it's hard for our students to receive what others have to offer because we still have to build them. And we're trying to send them out before they're ready. It's like baking a cake and taking it out of the oven before it's fully cooked. You have to fully prepare our students before we expose them to the outside elements so they're properly prepared.
I think as far as the question, like why does this matter, especially if it's someone, as you were saying, that's maybe white, asking why the focus on black teachers. And then the big one is that Black Lives Matter. So let's put that out there. Their lives matter, and the very fact that we can be in front of our students every day. And as Ms. Hall was saying, we might not share the same background, but there is an empathy and there's a compassion that we have for our children. Because your life matters. What you say matters. You have value. Black teachers see the inherent value in black and brown children. And not that white teachers don't, but there is a difference when we're talking about the struggle, the history, what might be endemic and systemic, right? That we kind of understand these struggles from a different lens and a different perspective. The other thing that I'm sort of thinking about here that Dr. Griffin touched on is that there are microaggressions that are going on in our schools. Some white teachers are, committing these. There are also micro-invalidations that we also might devalue our students. Black teachers are going to recognize this. And for the most part, we're not going to do that. And what I'm hoping is that through this process, that city schools and black teachers can also empower students to get to a point where our students can say, that's a microaggression. You hurt me. You made me feel invalidated and less than. And that's not okay. My hope is that black teachers, and I'm sure Ms. Hall and myself, are letting our students know that when these things happen, it's not okay. Because while I understand that people think that the indecent time that we live in because of 45 is okay, that we are not going to raise indecent children in our schools. And that black and brown students are every bit as capable because we have an inherent belief that they can succeed. So the question matters because they matter. Black and brown teachers matter because black and brown kids matter.
So if I know that black teachers matter for all students, if I know that black teachers can increase the college going rates of black children, if I know black teachers have high expectations for black children and that there's no belief gap, if I know that the dropout rate is less likely, if I know that black children are more likely to be enrolled in gifted and talented, if I know that black teachers help black students excel, and I know that there are only 7% in my country, why would I not talk about black teachers?
So in that vein, we have then some intra-village issues potentially. So what we know about city schools is that about 75% of our school leaders are leaders of color. And they have, for the most part, full autonomy over who they hire. So the question then for me is why then are we not seeing increased recruitment and retention numbers amongst school leaders who themselves are also leaders of color?
Y'all look at each other that time. Okay. So I think this is a really complicated and complex topic. The first thing I'll say is we can't assume that because a person is a person of color that they always have the intentionality around hiring people of color. We would like that to be the case, but it's not always the case, and so we have to accept that. What that means is that we have to be deliberate about conversations around the need of both quality and diversity in our schools and push our leaders to do that, whether they're people of color or not. So that's the first place. The other space I would say, and I can't speak directly about Baltimore City, but I can speak about other places, is that oftentimes what we hear is that I don't actually, there's a filter happening, right? Who applies, who gets down to the actual school level, we don't always see that data. We don't even think to look at that data. And so there's another data challenge here around thinking about who's applying, where are we recruiting from, how are they being filtered into the pipeline, which principals have access to what teachers, right? I talked about inter-district segregation, who has access to what teachers, and then the big question is, what do we deem as quality and excellent among the teachers that we hire? Becomes really critical around who we put in buildings in front of children. And also, sometimes are we creating a space for them to feel valued enough to want to stay? Right? Again, leaders need support and development too. And if they are not being provided that in the right way, then teachers of color are not going to stay. They want to see another teacher.
I personally wonder what good teaching looks like to our school leaders. I think your personal background and perception of what a good teacher looks like could sway you in what decision you will make when you're hiring candidates for a teaching position. So if you're looking for a strength that might look a certain way based on where you're from, your school background, your upbringing, and I think that I believe that maybe our school leaders are looking for that, but I don't necessarily see African Americans beating down the doors trying to become a teacher either. So they may not have a great pool to choose from right now as well. I know that the conversations that we're having in our villages aren't always positive about education. If you just listen to the conversations that we have amongst each other, we're saying things like, these kids are terrible, I couldn't do it, I don't know how you can be a teacher. You know, they say those things to me directly. I mean, even after winning Teacher of the Year and people realized how long I had been in the city, they were amazed. And I didn't understand why they were amazed. These are the same children that you live with. These are your children, these are my children, all of our children. And so I don't think it's just what school leaders are choosing. I also think it's how we perceive education to be. Are we believing the biases that are bled out to us through the media? Are we perpetuating the stereotype by discussing it negatively with our own community?
And I think maybe to some extent that some of this kind of goes back, in my mind, to sort of like training, right? Your car's broken, you got to take it to the mechanic. There are sort of like regular checkups that you have to do. So then my question is, because I'm kind of stumping for like an anti-racist, policy here in Baltimore City and actively seeking out these systems. What are we doing to identify racist policies and procedures? What about microaggressions and invalidations? So all of this context to say is that if we have to get professional development, and I do appreciate the training, while I want training for my craft and my practice, classroom management and content, where is the training for Black teachers and non-Black teachers so that they can identify anti-racist behaviors, so that they can identify when they might be creating a microaggression? If we don't have a system in place where we feel that we are professionals, but also that we need a mental and a professional tune-up, then I would say that we're complicit. And if we are complicit in this oppression, we are also the ones who can change it. So it's not here for me to just sort of, be a doomsday deliverer or to be a cynic, but this could act as a wake-up call, that if we believe these things at some point, while I appreciate talking, a little less conversation and a little more action goes a long way.
Thank you. So, the question I think I have after hearing quite a bit of that is, do we believe that black teachers are good for only black students or for all students? And I'll contextualize that by thinking back to Dr. Griffin's presentation when we talked about, kind of black teachers being hubbed traditionally in some of the most challenging areas, not in just Baltimore City, but across kind of metropolitan areas. So are black teachers good for just black students? Is it important for a black student to have a black teacher or for all students to have a black teacher? And if so, why don't we spread black teachers more evenly?
So maybe for me to answer this question, there's a bit of a story or an anecdote to tell, and I hope that's okay. I've got the mic, so I guess it is. So I was going in for a job interview at a school. The school really doesn't matter all that much. I'm not here to shame, but rather just to sort of shed light on what happened. So I go for the interview. I'm explaining to the principal, hey, I think I'd be really great at this school, mostly because the school is kind of split. You've got some white students, some brown students, and you've also got some black students. I'm going to be really awesome for your black students because from what I hear from others at this school, your black students actually feel really forgotten about. And I'm going to guarantee that I'm not going to forget about them because I'm going to take them in as my own. But guess what? I'm going to throw in this offer as well. Your white kids are going to be taken in as my own also, as a freebie. Why? Because I'm a professional and I care about them just as much as my black students, and it's part of the job if you want to wear the hat. But what really got to me was that the principal also acknowledged that the black and brown students at that school have been largely forgotten about by the staff who is majority white. That's unfortunate. So now we've got students at a Baltimore City public school that are being forgotten about. I turned down the job because ultimately I wanted to work at a school where the leader was recognizing that A, that's not happening here, and B, a majority, 95% of the students look like me. So I went to that school. And I'm able to have different and deeper conversations with those students. But to circle back to the question, those white students need me. They need to see an educated black man showing up and also dispelling some of the issues that I'm sure are cropping up at home that they bring into school that are macro aggressions, so that we can address those in very productive and very real ways. The black students also need to understand that when somebody says something to you, we're going to talk about this, address it, and fix it. And it's going to get nipped in the bud because this is a serious issue. Because why? You matter. So yes, they need me in every sense of the word, but it goes back to my previous answer about the kind of training that teachers are getting. Those teachers at that school are complicit in the oppression of a people, and that's not okay.
I just believe in general the state of and the climate of our country as a whole lends itself to all students needing to see African American people in positions of power, in educational leadership positions, to be able to glean something from them and not be intimidated. And that's not just white students, but black students as well, because a lot of times they can perceive us as parental figures and be turned off by that initially, but they need to see that we have so much more to offer them. So I believe that across the board, all students need African American teachers, but I think we are purposed to help redeem black students. I believe I've only taught black students my entire teaching career. I know the impact that it can have for a girl to look at me and not see me half dressed, to not see me cursing, to not hear the typical things that she might hear in her community and say, I can achieve that as well. because when she leaves my classroom, I have no idea what she's going to experience. And as much as I want to say that, you know, we are good for all students, I just believe that we have a foundational purpose to support our kids because they are often forgotten about. And not just because they don't have black teachers, but in general, in life. They're watching the news, they're seeing that there's nooses hung off trees in different locations and that black people are being unfairly killed. This is what they've been exposed to. So to see an African American person standing in front of them daily who shows up for them and they made it, they're successful, they are educated, we are purpose to provide them that hope that they may not be able to get. They already expect other races to make it. I believe that when they see us, their impression is, wow, this is attainable. I believe that we can teach all students. I want to clarify. But I think our purpose is grounded in making sure that our African American students are lifted.
So I think the question was, do all students need access to black teachers, right? So what I think is critical is that someone mentioned our context in our country. The context in our country right now is that by 2050, most of our spaces will be overwhelmingly people of color. Right? Maryland as a state is one of the states where we talk about this issue, and it is a struggle to talk about this issue in this state. And so as we see the workspace diversifying, the education space diversifying, it becomes critical that not just children of color and white children have access to people of color, but also white adults, right? So we're talking about racially homogeneous spaces in a whole lot of ways. And so what we see, maybe not just from education literature, but from other bodies of research around diversity, is we have spaces that are more creative, we can come up with better context, better options. And so one of the things that we talk about a ton is around, you know, we do talk about integration and segregation a ton in this work and in this world. What I will say about it is that I think we need to think about adults and where they sit in that space. Do we bus children 40 minutes, or do we hire an adult in a building who's a person of color to help diversify and think about the cultural issues, to be able to push on racial microaggressions, to be able to just be a face and a leader in the building around those issues. And also what we know is that when we think about diversifying spaces with adults, we also retain people better, right? So if we think about that diversity, it becomes like conflated with a bunch of other issues. Of course, kids of color benefit from having black teachers, Latino teachers, white children do as well, leaders do as well. I just think diversity is a critical piece of how we should see excellence in our workforce. And I just think we can't leave it alone. The research speaks to it. I think people speak to it. There's a New York Times article around that highlights very well that all students prefer educators of color. And at Ed Trust, we always say something like, what works for kids of color really works for all kids, right? And so we're starting from this place where it seems like we want to pull back on, doesn't work for white children. No, actually, it doesn't work for kids of color and low-income students, because if it does, it's going to work for everybody else too.
Thank you. So we have the research kind of behind us and on our side, and you talked about the village and kind of our purpose and why it's so important that we're in front of these kids. However, black teachers leave the profession at higher rates than any other teachers. Do we have an idea of why that is and what would potentially kind of stop that mass exodus?
There's a couple of things that I think, like, you think about working conditions and autonomy, and I would say that there's a narrative around good teaching, a narrative around what that looks like that I think needs to not completely shift, but be more thoughtful, for lack of a better word. And I will say this, I've talked to Dr. S about this often, which is, you know, we have folks who want to do social justice but don't want to do reading, pedagogy, and content. They go hand in hand. You cannot, I said this earlier, you can't be woke and not be able to read. If you can't read Du Bois, that's a challenge, right? We need to have that combination of things. What I think happens, though, is I think we get teachers in rooms who are often stifled because someone tells them that they are not doing both at the same time, but no one helps them figure out how to do it better. So I want to do this social justice thing around the hate we give. I do it. Maybe I don't do it well, but no one actually comes in and says, this is what you did wrong, right? Like, this is how, so I think there's this, I keep going to professional development, I keep going to building people. I really see education as a space where learning is continuously happening among groups of people. And we have to create those spaces where the autonomy is there to build around kids' needs, around the great things you all do, that we give that to folks. But that folks who are doing the work also understand we need to have the rigor there. And that it's not an either or, it's an both and. But I think right now we have as an either or. And that either or, it pushes people out the door. It stifles people's creativity sometimes. It shows up in the climate in buildings where, you know, I talked about professional development and leading, where the teacher who's creative, sometimes because no one's helping pull them up, the teacher who's less creative but does it the way the leader says gets the opportunity to leave and go to the district office and do something really cool, and the other teacher gets stifled. Nobody knows about the opportunities happening. We see it with, like, some programs that come in, not particular districts, but other districts, right? There's a program that comes in, 5 white teachers know, none of the black teachers know, but the white teachers move forward and the black teachers are like, I just wanted to go get the PD. Like, I don't want to leave the classroom, I just wanted to go learn. So I think all of those things create a cyclical nature of why we don't retain educators. The last piece I'm going to say is around this notion of humanity. And so we've been doing some work at EdTrust, thinking about retention, particularly for black teachers. We actually have a study hopefully coming out soon around this. And one of the pieces that comes up is the sense of, are we providing teachers as people of humanity around their work and seeing them as professionals, respecting who they are, giving them the professional development space to talk about these issues, but in a way that is constructive. And when we see leaders do that in school buildings, particularly with educators of color, it starts helping them retain. When the leader says, hey, I'm interested in where you want to go as a professional, it seemingly, and we're still doing the research, it's like not even in the paper yet, but it seemingly is impacting their desire to want to stay in that space, right? That I have the space to build and grow. It matters. It matters to your motivation intrinsically. It matters to your extrinsic motivation. It matters to your sense of commitment to the workspace that you are seen as a professional and can grow. And unfortunately, black teachers aren't often seen as committed professionals who can grow and build. And so we have to do that.
Absolutely agree with Dr. Griffin, and just wanted to add that I believe that one of the things that needs to be defined is what rigor is. So I think that across the country, sometimes we look at a text as rigorous and not the way that we teach a text or the way that we expose our kids to new skills, new ideas, new things. I believe that when teachers have good intentions, and this doesn't just have to be teachers of color, we're throwing around these terms, but we're not really explaining what they mean. And so when you put a book in front of a child that they know they're not going to finish because they're looking at the number of pages, that's not rigor. You can take a thin book and make that a marvelous journey for a child. But a teacher has to be taught how to create that rigor with the thin book as well, with the book that the child is interested in and not just one that we think everybody should read because it was written years ago. Antiquated education, I absolutely abhor it. And I don't believe that the only way to reach our students is by teaching old text, teaching old math ways. So defining rigor is important. When you have teachers in classrooms who may not have had that type of education themselves, how do we support them in providing it? Also, what are we doing as far as, I saw in Dr. Griffin's slide earlier that the school climate was a part of the reason why African American teachers were leaving, and I can say that I've had that thought process in my 16 years, and one of the things that I also feel that we should do ourselves, the educators, practice self-care. We're sometimes so engrossed in making sure our students make it, that they make the marks, the test scores, that they're doing what they're supposed to do, or I gotta send this email, that we often forget that we have to be full in order to pour. And sometimes we're so empty and we're still trying to go for our students. And it's important for us to stop sometimes. It's okay to not be woke every day. Sleep one day. I mean so many teachers who look exasperated when you talk to them. And as a result, they can't even say anything positive because they're so worn out. And so I think just providing the opportunity for them to either practice self-care, teaching them how to do it on the job, teaching them to, it's okay to not stay up every day after school, and take some time out for your family. Kudos to you for being here on your daughter's birthday, but I just think that we don't do enough of that in the profession as a whole.
So as far as retention, and sort of how do we make sure that we keep Black teachers and sort of recruit Black teachers, I'm sort of looking through the lens of opportunity, looking through the lens of access and exposure. So what opportunity is there in Baltimore City for Black individuals to become teachers? Okay, so now that we've examined what are the opportunities, then we need to look through it through maybe, again, an anti-racist lens. Are there barriers to those opportunities? Is there a way that we can prevent those barriers? What access is there out there for Black individuals to become teachers? Are there barriers to that access? Has the city done its part to ensure that we can make sure that we get the force that we want, and then that we can support the teacher force that we want? And I think the big thing comes down to support. If we feel valued just innately as human beings, the value, the respect, being treated as professionals for our content, sort of mastery goes a long way, as opposed to like what Dr. Griffin was saying as disciplinarians. What is the opportunity? What is the access? And what is the exposure for Black individuals to become teachers in Baltimore City? Can we look at this through an anti-racist lens? Can we then move an anti-racist agenda through the city and make this part of our vision and say, we stand on this? I might not be from the city, but I can tell you one thing, I am absolutely for the city. But people would also stay longer if we gave them more reasons to be for Baltimore City students and Baltimore City public schools. An anti-racist platform goes a long way, so I'm going to keep stumping on that. The last thing I would say is professional development. What professional development is out there for Black teachers to then feel valued and empowered to make sure that this is a place where they want to be, where they feel like they can grow, where they feel valued? The same things that we're telling our kids that you expect of teachers to make good kids, as Ms. Hall was saying, adults still need that same love too. We are still very fragile seeds that could become a mighty oak one day, but I still need to be poured into as well. So the professional development piece goes a long way. I'll wrap this up as far as saying PLCs also go a long way in schools. Is there a way for Black teachers, brown teachers to come together in PLC groups, professional learning communities, to talk about our experiences? I just feel like sort of teacher support groups really would go a long way so that we can understand what's going on in your building. How can we help each other? How can we empower each other? And then turnkey that to doing the same for our students and their families.
There aren't many professions, I think, like ours that require kind of the notion of desiring career advancement and job satisfaction to sort of take a back seat really to the social justice work we do every day in the classroom. How do you navigate wanting to see your career advance and whatever that means, and balance maintaining kind of your position in the classroom, being part of this work?
I don't know if I can answer this one because I feel like I'm where I want to be. I can say that I have desires of doing more. So I currently host an after-school mentoring program for girls at my school, which I feel is a necessity in every school in our district, especially with the way that our girls are often forgotten. And the rate that they're fighting and things of that nature. So I have a desire to empower students outside of the classroom, but not necessarily advance in my position. So I feel like being on the front lines in the classroom is powerful for me, for any classroom teacher, because you have direct dialogue with the subjects that are being served throughout the district. You know, when you're, you know, at North Avenue, you don't get to hear firsthand unless you come into the school what's going on with our youth, and they're telling me every day. So I think I hear the importance so often of why I'm there, that I feel like I belong in this position. But I do want to expand how they're supported, not just academically, but as was in your PowerPoint earlier, that we serve the students as a whole child.
Let's see. So I feel like as far as like career advancement, like I said, I don't really have a good answer. Like Ms. Hall said, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I feel very happy and content teaching 6th grade literacy at Waverly Elementary and doing debate. Just where you're supposed to be. So like if this were to come down to like advancing, I really don't want to necessarily do more. I really enjoy being a classroom teacher. If this answer is for folks in the audience about money, there are AUs, and I feel like you need to work hard and prove that you're an effective teacher, that you can truly move students if you're supposed to make a lot of money, if the answer is about money. But I like being a teacher. I like doing extra activities with my kids after school. I like doing volunteering with them on the weekends. But I would say that opening up avenues for teachers to have access to these things is really important. And I do appreciate Baltimore City having a system where teachers can advance and still stay in the classroom and make more. That I do appreciate. I think that there is a larger conversation, maybe as Ms. Hall was saying earlier, and Dr. Griffin, you alluded to, that there's a sort of larger conversation about just how we hold the teaching profession in terms of esteem. And I don't blame Baltimore City for that. I think that that's a larger, broader national conversation. That if people can meet Ms. Hall and say, oh my God, you're the teacher of the year, it's been 16 years, oh honey, and just, oh, bless you. But then there's almost like this pity when you tell them that we work for Baltimore City. And I feel like, I don't know when teaching lost its luster. At some point, it was a great profession. I'm present tense, it's still a great profession. I think that we all can do a lot in this room and plan to change that, but I don't know. I'm rambling. Long story short, I appreciate the AU system. I'm really happy where I'm at. And I'm just really grateful. Yeah, on to Maxine.
So, not a teacher, but would like to say, I think your responses are amazing because we need more folks to stay in the teaching profession. Those who want to rise, great, but we do need folks who are committed to being the lifelong educator, right, for a whole host of reasons. I also would say that there are tons of opportunities for folks to stay in classrooms and become advocates and activists. And yes, I use the word separately, but there's a lot of opportunity for that, and that is so needed. I said it earlier, I would say it again. We need more teachers of color in particular, and Black teachers who are equipped to have conversations about policy and advocacy in our spaces, who are actually in classrooms. Someone said it again, who are actually in classrooms. I sit in a space where oftentimes we have conversations around policy and advocacy, and very few people have ever been in a classroom or in a school building or even at the district level. And so stay in your classrooms, but there are opportunities to be teacher leaders in other ways and in other spaces. I'm going to shout out organizations just in case you don't know, because I know some places that you can go to. So there are like Teach to Lead conferences that teachers come in groups and write action plans for their districts. There's the Black Young Educators for Social Justice Conference. There's the Black Teacher Project. There are so many great organizations to start building around the already great work we do, but so other people can elevate. Ed Trust has a blog. If you want to blog at Ed Trust and become a writer, activist, blogger, thought leader in that way, please let us know. But I want to make sure that you realize that like the capacity you have in classrooms to understand what is happening in classrooms with kids every day is often lost in some of our conversations at the national level, potentially at the state level. So if you have that level of leadership or activism or advocacy in you, then don't lose that either, because I value tremendously as educators of 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's just expertise I will never have that is invaluable to the work that we do every day in education, advocacy, and policy.
Thank Thank you all. We have a few questions from the audience. I'll try to get to all of them, but we may not. So often when we talk about black teachers, we're kind of broad brushing, and we know that even as a group of black people, we're not homogenous. Is there any research on African or Afro-Caribbean students that differ when you're talking about kind of this topic?
Students and teachers.
Students and teachers.
This is going to be I wasn't prepared for this question, so I'm going to give a really high-level answer. With regards to teachers, the data that we have available is most often self-reported. Or self-reported as Black, Latino, other. So we haven't drilled down. We also know that in national conversations, we don't often drill down because of size, like sample size and statistics. One of the things that is interesting to me, and you notice that in our paper, we have a paper on African American teachers at EdTrust. We have one on Latino educators. The reason I want to do Latino educators separately is because they're Afro-Latino educators who often experience things as Black folks in the country, right? And so we are aware of it. The data are not as broad and don't give us the capacity to have as robust a conversation. I will say in my past life, looking at student experiences, there's a ton of literature that examines the differences between students from different cultures. Some of that work I won't repeat because I'm not super excited about it. There's like older work around Agbu and different ways of assimilating into culture and immigrant status and what that means around how you interact in spaces. I've done some work in STEM education looking at different groups and how they, African American and Caribbean students kind of both use peer groups and do not use peer groups to kind of matriculate through. I think one of the things I will say is as we think about schooling as a social context, it's critical that we understand who's in our social context. So while I speak broadly about Black teachers, if you had a school that were all Black teachers, but as you start looking across the numbers and the data, what you found is that actually you've got a chunk of Afro-Latino, a chunk of Afro-Caribbean, a chunk of, right, you have different, then you have a different challenge. And you need to handle that challenge in a different, thoughtful, nuanced way. Before I came here today, I was saying we have this conversation naturally around Black teachers because we can move the needle in a universal, non-nuanced way. When we drop into districts and schools, we need to be more nuanced about our conversation. And so I hope that you can hear me say that, and that there's two sides of the same coin. One is national. We've got to move awareness, and that means sometimes we don't get to the nitty-gritty. But in your own schools and in your own spaces, I would say, if you know that population exists, host a conversation, have a focus group, be thoughtful about it, and then see if the research still applies. I haven't seen it broken out that way in large scale yet. That I'm sure it might be coming. There is a handbook on the research of teachers of color coming out soon that I'm on the advisory board for. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it is trickling somewhere as we think about Latino educators and Afro-Latino educators. So I hope that's helpful. I know it's not really wanted, but...
How could we better leverage our HBCUs in terms of teacher pipeline? We talk about alternative route certification programs and traditional programs where we don't seem to be getting kind of an influx of Black teachers generally that we'd like. How do we leverage our HBCUs toward that end? And maybe what are the barriers that are keeping us from accessing our HBCUs in ways that we do other programs and universities?
I was recruited at my HBCU, so I feel that those programs that we often speak against, those programs are bringing some of us here, or not even just to Baltimore City schools, but bringing us into the profession. I think that there needs to be more of a stronger presence in education at the HBCU level. I don't feel that when I was a college student that being a teacher was a profession that was highly acknowledged. I think that as an English major, I was encouraged to go into law, journalism, media. Like, they never mentioned being an English teacher. And so I think that maybe partnering with schools and allowing those HBCUs to come into our schools and our teachers go into theirs and talk about their experiences, we'll offer them the opportunity to dispel some of those stereotypes and those things that have been bled out to them through falsehoods. I know that just coming to Baltimore from North Carolina, I was scared to death. I'm just going to keep it real. I was like, oh my God, I'm being honest. I thought I was going to get shot as soon as I got here. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then when I got here, I felt like a lot of the attitudes that I encountered were so strong. And I just felt like everybody I met had a bad attitude. And I had no idea what I was walking into. It wasn't just education, it was the whole culture. How do we prepare people not only for the profession, but for living in that environment, for cultivating their own personality among kids who have experienced things that they have not. Because the stories that my students tell me often scare me. I don't know how to address some of the things that they've shared with me because I've never experienced it. But I think that if I was better prepared before I got here, then maybe I would have turned around and brought a friend along or shared it with someone else. This is a great place to be, but I was so afraid because of what I heard and because of the lack of preparation that I had. They prepared me to be a teacher. They didn't prepare me to live in the culture. And so I think having both presented to HBCU students would be helpful.
I would say that I can definitely speak sort of like to more of the alternative pipeline approach. So like again, I did Urban Teachers in cohort 2012, and I've sort of been with the organization in sort of various capacities throughout the years. But what I do appreciate is that there is a targeted effort from Urban Teachers and other pipeline programs like it to make sure that there's sort of like hometown recruiting, and that there are teachers of color in Baltimore that ultimately become student teachers and become teachers in Baltimore City Public Schools. That much I really do appreciate from, again, Urban Teachers, and I'm sure the others. The other thing I would say, even with my experience, and Paul definitely touched on this at the end, is this idea of immersion, right? So I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and no need for a geography test here, but it's a state that we all fly over, but I actually fly to, right? So big difference. And when I moved from Des Moines to Baltimore, I already sort of understood that Iowa Black is not the same as Baltimore Black. So I already had an appreciation that you've got to do extra work to become part of the community. It's not, how can you fix the community? The community fixed me, and then I, over time, was allowed to ask questions because of my immersion. I respected where I was coming from. And I feel that more of the teacher preparation, and again, work that I'm proud that Urban Teachers is doing, is preparing their teachers with this idea of you need to immerse yourself in the community before you have the right to tell the community anything. Yes. The community has every right to tell you what they need from you, and only if they want you. That's the first thing. So there's this idea of immersion. So I know Urban Teachers has a course called Foundations, and it's about being introduced to urban education. It's about being immersed in Baltimore City. You know, this year I know that they're in the process of actively doing race and equity groups, so that their participants of color, Black resident teachers, meet together every so often to discuss the experiences of being a Black resident teacher in Baltimore City. This is work that not just Urban Teachers can do or has to do, but it's also work that, again, I was saying with PLCs in Baltimore City, that Baltimore City should do. But I feel like first there's an immersion aspect that's missing, and then there's a respect factor that some teachers come in, maybe Black, maybe white, that we know what's best because we want to be teachers. So I think to me the question, while I appreciate that it's asking about HBCUs and alternative pipelines, I think there's a base question. Can we immerse ourselves in the city and respect that we are outsiders and others if we in fact are?
So I think one of the things that we see some other states do around this is around formalizing funding to actually create a space to not just create partnerships between districts and HBCUs, but actually sustain those partnerships over time. And so we can talk about We know that folks have difficulty recruiting from HBCUs to a state like Washington, where there aren't HBCUs, and so that's a big, scary thing to do. But if we can think about like both building grow your own programs or pipelines early on, as well as finding the funding at the state level to give the space for district and partnerships with HBCUs or building some partnerships that are formalized, I think there's a better opportunity to kind of build those pipelines.
Thank you. I only have time for one more question, and we can certainly go on all night. Probably should. Next time we'll do a Black teacher recruitment and retention sleepover. To what extent can labor unions be helpful in this kind of conversation?
So one of the things that's been powerful in this conversation are groups like the Shaker Institute, which is most often sponsored by AMT, doing really strong research around this issue. So we've seen the Albert Shaker Institute, which is oftentimes co-sponsored with AMT around diversity, put out some really great papers. So most recently they put out a paper. The first paper was around teacher diversity and looking at the data across the nation. The next paper they put out was a lovely, amazing graphic that had all of the states and if they have publicly available data or not. And I talked about publicly available data. You guys are looking at me like, who cares? But the reason it matters is because we can't actually have an argument for the conversation without the data. And so when you go to a state and you want to have this conversation, if we can't find it, I can't find it, you can't find it. Like, that's what I do all day long. And so they put out an amazing report, and I think there's a space for that in the conversation, for them to be a proponent around this notion of diversifying the workforce in a really strong way, to make sure that we're all kind of aligned with pushing for diversity as it relates to both quality for students and quality for the workforce writ large. So I think that that is, from my perspective, are some of the things.
Thank you. One of the things that I want to do first is have you thank this amazing panel for their time. Thank you so much. And so we've learned a lot and have a lot more to learn. I want to commit to you, the community, that as a working group, we will take all of those questions that you poured in on the registration form. We'll start our kind of core team meetings with those questions and provide responses, and we'll also start those public meetings with some of those questions so that over the next couple months we can answer all of them. And thank you for being so robust and asking those questions. Thank you again, Dr. Santelises, for being the type of superintendent that